The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are webcasting to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. Thrilled to be here this morning because we got a big show for you. Feel like Ed Sullivan, a big show. But we're going to be with you for 2 hours live, and we're going to be talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective, and we have some fabulous guests and we've got a lot to recap. It is April. And this is a big month for autism. It is autism awareness, it's autism action, it's autism acceptance month, depending on what group you tend to be in. I like to be in all three of those groups because I think that all three are super duper important. So we've got a lot of different things that we're going to over this month. Kelby and I, we want to recap a little bit, just a little, to tell you about the big walk that we went to on Saturday, but we're going to have video of that ready for you next week. But tons of really exciting stuff today. I want to remind you that this entire program is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts, your concerns, and what's kicking your keister or what's making you really happy today. Kelby's going to show you some of the different ways that you can be in contact with us here at the show and some of the different ways that you can be watching the show. While he does that, I want to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, lots of things to do, but one of our favorite things to tell you about is whether you're watching the live show or watching a recorded live show, there's a live feature to the side of the computer screen. If you put your cursor in the box that says your question, start typing, hit enter, it shows up here on my screen and you and I can have a conversation, but ever so much better than that, you can have a conversation with our guests and our experts, and we have a lot of those that join us for the show. And I've got some of my favorite people on the face of the earth on the show today. So that's a very exciting thing, and I know you're going to want to talk to them. And they've got exciting news for you about ways that they're changing literally the world. So that's a big thrill, and you're going to want to talk to them. Now, keep in mind, you can watch the live show on that website, or you can watch the 100 most recent shows. And again, ask questions. It still comes to us, right? If you ask a question, just make sure that you reference what it is that you saw. You can tell me what the date is, but even better than that, Kelby regularly puts up the lower third and says who's talking when we have guests on. Say, okay, so I watched that show when you had John Asher, the director of Poe, on, and I want to know this, that, or the other thing. We keep in contact with all the people who have been on the show, and we can always ask them questions after the fact. And a lot of times we invite people to come back, especially when you guys have asked a bunch of questions. So thrilled about all of that. I also like to remind you at the start of the show that while we have many experts on the show, I'm just not one of them. I'm a mom, and my son was diagnosed with autism when he was 2.5. He's going to be 13 very soon, and I'm just so thrilled. And I said to him last night, I said, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of who you are. I'm so proud of everything that you do. I'm proud of everything that you've done. And I really mean that. And I'm so grateful because we got great help and we got great support. And you know what? There were days when I didn't think that was going to happen. And there were days when I felt so completely alone, like I was on the moon by myself. And I know that that's how it feels to some of you. And I'm glad that you found your way here, because you know what I always like to say, we can do this together, right? We hold hands and we do this together. Si se puede. We can do this. Yes, we can. And we do it together. And I welcome everyone. I think that this autism community, it's a spectrum, right? It is not one size fits all. And within this community, I believe that we are a group of people that are parents, teachers, practitioners, people who love people on the autism spectrum, and most importantly, the individuals who are themselves on the autism spectrum. All of those people are in my community, and that's the community that we're speaking to when we do this show. We want to help each and every person in that community to get to the progress that they want to get to. Again, not one size fits all. But I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody who's really passionate about it, but we put people in the chairs so that you've got the experts to talk to. And if you have I always say, put me to work. If you have a question, something, and I don't know, I'm going to look it up. I love to do research. And I love to call people and say, hey, talk to us about this. So in any case, but not an expert. Let's not be confused about that. Okay, so we like to start every morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out, what are these experts talking about? What in the heck does it mean? And what does it have to do with us? Why? I want to be motivated. If I have to learn something new, and especially jargon terms, which hurt my head, I want to be motivated. So I want to know, how does this affect my day? How does this make me a better parent? How does this help my son to achieve what he wants to achieve? Okay. I can't believe we've never done this before, but our jargon term for today is sensory integration. This is a term that we're hearing more and more of, and more services are for this. So what are we talking about when we talk about sensory integration? Our actual definition, sensory integration, is the way in which people use information provided by sensations coming from within the body and from the external environment. Okay. I sort of get that, but I kind of really don't get that. So let's move on to our working definition. Sensory integration, it's being able to make sense of the world using your senses. Okay, I have to say that one of the best descriptions I've ever heard of sensory integration and sensory integration therapy, I heard in the movie Poe. There's a moment when an OT is talking to the dad, and the dad, she's doing stuff with his son, and she says to the dad, do you know why we're doing this? And do you know what we're doing? And he says, no, I have no idea. And you can tell he's tired. And you can tell he's overwhelmed. And she says, okay, great. So here's the thing. Our body is constantly taking in information from all around the room and inside us. And I'm doing a bad description of what she does in the movie because it's so good in the movie. You're just going to have to go see the movie. But she says, we're taking in all of this information. And for most of us, we find a way to regulate that information and form thoughts around it and change our actions around it. So, for instance, if it's too bright in the room, we will do something about that. We might go over and change the shades. We'll think, okay, it's a certain time of the day, so I need to go have lunch. We'll put those things together, and we have the ability to recognize it and change it, right? That's when we're taking in all of our sensory information, we're integrating it, we're putting it all together like a puzzle, right? We take all the pieces together and go, oh, I'm cold. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, this music is too loud. Or, oh, I'm being too loud. I need to modulate my voice, right? But for individuals who are on the autism spectrum, sometimes one of their senses is heightened, sometimes another sense is diminished, and that can throw off your ability to integrate. And it can make you overwhelmed faster than other people. Like, everyone can be overwhelmed by sensory things, right? If you think about, when was the last time that you were overwhelmed? And keep in mind, I was thinking about this morning, that I remember being 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 and going to concerts, and the louder it was, the better it was. And I wanted to stand next to the speaker. I wanted to feel the vibration. I was always the person at the dance club that wanted to dance over by the speaker to feel the vibration because I loved the feeling of that, right? Now, at this age in my life, I even being in a place where a band is playing that's enclosed, like, it makes my teeth hurt, my sinuses. I can't handle it. It's too much sensory information. So, and on different days, I can handle different things. And I think I'm not alone in this, right? Think about how you handle things and what you can't handle. I remember years ago, my mother she had waited forever to go to Branson, Missouri. My mother was a quilter. She couldn't wait. She heard that there was a great quilting shop in Branson, Missouri. And I said to her on the phone later on the week after she came back, I said, how was it? Was it everything you had hoped it would be? She said, oh, I walked in and I turned around and walked right back out. And I said, what are you talking about? You've been waiting forever to go to Branson and to go to this one quilt shop. She said there was too much going on. I couldn't handle it. I was completely overwhelmed. I couldn't breathe. I had to get out of the quilt shop. All of us have the potential to be overwhelmed and kind of short circuit when too much is going on. And, you know, we're all like that. But if you think about for an individual who's on the autism spectrum and all the things that they're having to process and deal with, and if one of those dials is turned up significantly, or if one of them is turned down significantly, how hard that would be. So when we do sensory integrative therapy or sensory integration therapy, it helps that individual to learn how to cope. It helps for them to be desensitized to things where it's turned up, and it helps them to fine tune to be able to pay attention and attend to things where their sense isn't as strong. And all of those things help with focus, with being able to monitor your emotions, being able to regulate. I had a conversation with somebody the other day about, do you remember the old Seinfeld episode about mastering your states? If you are somebody who can focus on the thing that you need to do when you do, you're going to be much more successful. Well, that's true for all of us. But when you have more obstacles to that, it can be even harder. So sensory integration helps you to put those things together so that you can cope with more things and put more information together and come up with the right answers. And sensory integration therapy helps you to be able to overcome when you're being overwhelmed by some of those things. It's a great, great thing. And it involves all of the senses. So it's a pretty creative art too. It involves what you see, what you hear, what you touch, what you smell, all of the different senses. So there we are, jargon of the day, sensory integration. Moving on, we always have a question of the day for you. And our question today goes hand in hand with what our jargon is. What makes you feel overwhelmed? What is there in your life that you have a hard time handling? Years ago, I went to a birthday party with my son, and it was in a gymnasium. And we love the staff that's in this gymnasium, but it's in an industrial center, so the ceilings are so high up, right? And that, for me, is a sensory issue. I can do it, but it makes me a little bit dizzy. I don't know why. And sounds echo the higher the ceiling, and it's a little bit hard for me. And so we were out in the gym, and I was sort of regulating myself and being okay with that. And I was at the party, our kids were younger, and I was there with a friend of mine who also has a son who's on the autism spectrum. And so my son and her son were there. Jem wasn't having any kind of a problem with the high ceilings, but the other woman's son was having some issues with it, and I could see it. I could totally, totally see it, and I could totally relate to it. Then it was time for all the kids to go in for the birthday cake and the birthday punch into this teeny tiny little room where they were playing music, and all the kids went in there, and it was so loud, and very quickly kids spilled, and the reason why they had it to the side, kids spilled punch all over the place, and the tables were those they're like steel tables that have holes in them, so if you spill something, it's going to go right through onto the floor. And the kids were all in socks so that they could be in the gym, and so now there's punch, sticky punch all over the floor, and kids wearing socks, and now their socks are sticking to the floor. I couldn't handle it. I had to go outside. I was like, there are sticky socks. I can't. If this were my birthday party, my head would explode. I just couldn't handle it. My child was having a ball. And the other woman, she wasn't having a problem, and she was trying to get her son to stay in the room, and he kept wanting to leave. And finally I said, let him come out here with me. I can't handle it. Why are we expecting him to handle it? And she was saying, well, but your son isn't having a problem. I said, you're not having a problem. We're all different. And once this other little boy was outside in the gym, even though it was the high ceiling, the sticky socks and yelling was worse than for both of us than the high ceiling. It was interesting how the hierarchy was. But we had been overwhelmed. We were kind of managing it. Then we went, oh no, now I'm really overwhelmed. I'm going to go back to the lower overwhelmed thing. So, I think that I'm a very sensory, I let's say I have issues. Let's say I have a whole subscription. I think I'm more than the average person. So it does not surprise me that I have a child who's on the autism spectrum, and I always have to remind myself that my issues are not his issue. He has different sensory issues than I do. But so my question to you guys is, what makes you feel overwhelmed? I know that something makes you feel overwhelmed. And the reason why I'm asking what makes you feel overwhelmed, not your children, is because when we stop and think about what makes us feel overwhelmed and how that feels for us, we are much more capable of dealing when our kids are overwhelmed by something. So we start with what makes us overwhelmed and kind of dissect it. Why does that make you feel overwhelmed? What can you do about it? Is there a way you can desensitize yourself, and you'll be much more empathetic and I think more effective if you're working with an individual who gets overwhelmed by things. All right, we always have a topic for the week, and our topic this week, preventing overstimulation. It's easy, right? I was at Disneyland last night. Oh my gosh, was I seeing some kids who were overstimulated, right? There's a time of day where they tell me the people who work in the park, you just set your timer and all the kids start to cry because they've reached critical mass, right? There are things that you can do, and Disneyland is set up in a way that you can, take advantage of those things if you choose to, but you have to be so mindful. And it's funny because this is Mindful Thursday, right? So we're going to be talking about that, about how we can prevent overstimulation through mindfulness. But this is our topic for the week. And some of the different things that we have going on here today. Dina Kimmel is going to be here in just a few minutes, and she's bringing a wonderful guest, Deborah Kelly Davis. They are from We Rock the Spectrum. I love Dina Kimmel. She's an amazing autism mom, and she's an amazing entrepreneur, and she is making things happen for families all around the world, helping them to have their own business that helps individuals who are on the autism spectrum. So we're going to be talking about that, and they have some big, big news that I am not going to disclose like I usually do. I'm going to let them disclose it this time. Okay, and then today we are debuting a wonderful video that Kelby made. We liked the Temple Grandin in the car so much that we took our friend Nick Yates for a ride in the car. Nick is one of the kids who is featured. He's an adult now, but he was one of the kids featured in the movie Recovered because he was diagnosed with autism and he subsequently recovered. And so Kelby has made a lovely short film, The Road to Recovery, with Nicholas Yates. So we're going to be watching that. Instead of the A word at the top of the hour, we'll debut that. And then in the second hour, just like my favorite people, this show, Summer Dabbs is going to be here. And I believe that Larry Hauser is coming with her. That's what I've been told. They are from Fullerton Cares. And it's an amazing organization that I love so much. And they're getting ready to have their Mardi Gras for Autism. It's happening on the 16th. And if you are anywhere in the area of Los Angeles, if you're thinking about going to Disneyland anytime soon, you should go around that weekend so that you can be here for the Mardi Gras. And we'll talk about why. But Summer also has some other news that she's going to share with us about something that they're doing at a school in Fullerton that I'm just blown away by. So all of that and more, and hopefully we'll get a couple of minutes to talk about. We've got a couple of questions that have come in, and I want to tell you a little bit about last week's walk and what we got going on this weekend and the next couple of weekends. So stick with us. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to rock the spectrum with Dina Kimmel and Deborah Kelly Davis. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Kara Kaczynski, the Pocket Occupational Therapist, and we're here in Dallas, Texas at the Future Horizons Autism Super Conference. So the book is the Special Needs School Survival Guide, and it's everything you wanted to know about school. It is, okay, so it starts out with just different diagnoses that you might see, and then I explain them in clear terms, no technical jargon, and then each little diagnosis area has about, 50 to 100 activities that you can do at home or at school or cheaply and effectively. So it's just full of information that you can use right now. And the cool thing about it is at the end of every chapter are resources that you can use and access in the internet from a computer, and it's not just for kids with any diagnoses either. It's for kids that are just having trouble with handwriting or with dressing in school or transitions too. Well, both of my kids are on the autism spectrum, so it's important to me that when I learn something for other people, as I research it for occupational therapy, I want to try it at home. So then I take what works and I put it in a book, and what doesn't work gets thrown out the window. And the other thing is I've just started to research for webinars, because our kids, if our kids are aging, so they start out these cute little babies with autism, and now they're getting to be teenagers and young adults, and we need help with modifying the environment for them, transition planning, and especially for IEP goal writing, for functional things that they can work on, not just handwriting, but then going beyond into the transition to young adulthood. Yeah, the misnomer at this point in the school systems is that we just do handwriting. So we are actually not handwriting teachers. We can modify or help rectify a grip that's inefficient. So if a child doesn't have that nice, pretty little tripod grasp, we can help to get that. However, when the kid's in 2nd or 3rd grade, then we look at efficiency. So if the grasp is efficient, if it's a quadrupod grasp, or if it's some kind of funky grasp, and the child can write efficiently, then we leave it alone. But if not, then we go to electronic accommodations. So OTs then can look at keyboarding and what kinds of keyboards would fit the student best. Also sensory processing, as the kids get older, it looks different. So we can look at sensory processing as it relates to function in the school. And then we also can look at behavior and transition planning. Other things we can do is work on seating. So if the child's having trouble sitting still in the classroom, we can modify that too. So not just handwriting, not just sensory, but we look at behavior, transitions, so anything that affects that student's school day. Right, so that's a really good question, because sensory processing disorder did not make it into the last DSM, which is the way that medical professionals classify disorders. So it did make it into the classification under autism, but sensory processing disorder is very confusing, and a lot of therapists treat it differently. So the general overview is that sensory processing is either a heightened response to stimuli in the environment or a too low, which is hypo, response. So if the student perceives every noise around them is equally as important, or every feeling, so I'm sitting here, I can feel the chair, my sweater, the noise around me, then it's hard to concentrate and focus in the classroom on what you're supposed to be paying attention to. So we would use something, maybe a suggestion could be a weighted lap pad, or some kind of fidget tool for the student to fidget with, or we can even look at special positioning in the classroom, so preferred seating. Then, with sensory, transitions can be hard because any unexpected bump in the classroom or in line can set the child off into a fight or flight, which is when they really have a tantrum and freak out. So when they're in a fight or flight mode, they may fly off the handle for no apparent reason, maybe just being bumped by another student. So it's our job to be detectives and to figure out why the student is having that meltdown. So my CDs were created for my own kids my son in kindergarten didn't like the fire drills. So he was afraid to even step foot into the classroom because the fire alarm may sound. Of course, the school's not going to say, oh, let's just set off the fire alarm for your son, Bob. So we thought, where can we get a fire alarm? So we went into a recording studio and picked a whole plethora of sounds that you couldn't control, fireworks, thunder, sirens, and we put them on a CD, and I wrote nursery rhymes, changing the words to blender, blender, it's okay, or different little, Mary had a little lamb is something to do with thunder. So they're kind of fun, and that way the student can control the volume of the sound. It's not a listening therapy, there's no headphones involved. It's just a fun way to control sounds that you normally couldn't control. So they're for sale at my website, thepocketot.com.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so lucky because I have these two fabulous ladies here. One of my favorite people, Dina Kimmel, and she has brought with her, who I just met, Deborah Kelly Davis. I got it right?
Yes, you did.
Thrilled to have you here. And I must say that
us.
Dina says wonderful things about you.
Thank you.
And so we've had you on the show before, but just in case somebody's watching for the first time, we got to recap a little bit. You're an autism mom.
I am, first and foremost.
And
Absolutely.
And you are somebody who has a brilliant business head, and you were a businesswoman before you had a child that was on the autism spectrum. But like all of you, when your son was diagnosed with autism, it's like pick up the world, shake it, turn it upside down, and now reevaluate and put it back together.
Absolutely.
And you made the choice that you said, I need to do X, Y, and Z for my son, and you opened a business so that you would have a place. I don't want to tell your story for you. You tell it.
So cute.
Why did you open a gym?
Well, I loved my clothing stores. I brought, my daughter to work every day when she was a baby. I was able to, do the mom thing. It was wonderful. But with Gabriel, I tried and it didn't work. Something was going on. So I took a leave from my clothing stores. I ended up selling them 5 minutes, really 5 minutes after. But I knew something was going on with Gabriel really from when he was born. But as you know, you wait. Everyone says boys are slower. So I waited, and that 18 months, I knew something was going on. The doctor still didn't say anything was wrong because Gabriel was so loving. And I feel like that's where a lot of us parents get stuck, because the pediatricians, listen, they know about, sensory processing disorder and autism, but they don't know our kids. They're not, in med school, they don't specifically train on, as you know, special needs. So my doctor missed it. So gratefully, it's like a lioness. The lioness kicks in, okay, let's do this. The OT therapist says, put equipment up in your house, do a little mini OT gym. What do? Okay, take that about 50 steps further, moved all of my furniture out of my room and built a little, a big, actually, mini We Rock in there. And then after a year, just seeing what it did for Gabriel, sleeping better, eating better, socializing, eye contact, because there was nothing. He was just this beautiful little boy, which he still is, beautiful little boy, but like the lights were on, but no one was home.
Yeah.
So that's where the connection happened. Now, me being an entrepreneur, after a year, I said to my husband, I have to get out of here. There has to be other people, that need this.
Right?
Yes, wait till you hear, her story. And I said, I feel like we have to pay it forward. Listen, we were able to do this in our own home, but what about the people who can't afford OT, which is $150 an hour,
right,
and don't know that they can go through, the state or their insurance companies now, which some of them, as you know, don't cover that still. So that's what I did. So September 1st of 2010, We Rock was born.
And first in your home, then in its own place, and at that point, in the beginning, you didn't see that what it was going to turn into,
no.
did it?
No,
Did you?
no.
And it was one location.
One.
And now, how many locations?
Oh, Lord. We have 57.
In this minute, and I know when I talk to you next week, it'll be more.
Probably.
Because that's how it's going. So talk to us a little bit about how you come into this picture.
I actually met Dina when she owned her clothing store, and that's how we connected. And she was sharing with me about Gabriel when he was diagnosed, and she said she was going to be selling the store and, diving into the autism world. And I was sharing with her, I had already been in the world with her. My daughter's 15. I'm an autism parent myself. So I didn't hear from her for quite some time, and then a mutual friend of ours said, do you hear what Dina's doing? No, but I can only imagine.
Right?
So we connected. I did homeschool my daughter for quite some time, and dove in. I was speech therapy OT every single day, and I had wished there was some place I could take her, because I couldn't just take her to a regular indoor kids gym because it was too loud. The sensory processing. And when I first visited her gym and took my daughter there, my daughter just felt so comfortable. And, she invited my daughter Ryan to be a junior helper. And then I found out that she was going to be franchising. So I was a home stager at the time, and I said, I want to do this. Mm-hmm. And just the joy that you see in the parents and in the kids there's just something different about it. And I've been an owner for almost 2.5 years in Santa Monica location, and she's just brought me on as, I'm going to cry now. Every time we look at each other, we start crying. As project manager, so I can be there for the new owners and assist them in the process that I went through, being a veteran, I can just, help support them, because a lot of them are new business owners. They've never owned a business, so it's just a gratifying feeling. And the cause, it's a cause. It's not just owning a franchise, it's a cause.
But I think it's bigger than that even now, because looking at your booth, you were just like 3 or 4 booths down from us. We like it when we're next door to you.
I know,
but you're a
right?
raucous group of people
my
too.
God.
So
We didn't stop from 8 in the morning till
No.
everyone walked out.
But you know, I got to come down to your booth at one point, and I'm going to say this: I only left my booth to go to 2 places.
You were
and
busy.
the whole day we were busy. I walked down to the Grand Club for a millisecond, and I walked over to your booth because your booth was full of people. How many owners did you have in your booth?
What do we have? I think about 12.
Amazing.
Yeah. Busy.
From 12 different owners' locations, and it was a party. It was a party of
It was
people
fun.
who have made a difference in their life for their kids, for their family, because they have a business, so they have an income that it goes in line with what their kids
That's
need.
everything.
It is everything. And now they have a support group amongst themselves as well.
I'm
Which is
telling you,
huge.
it's everything.
family.
It's a family. We are.
And it's absolutely amazing. And the opportunity for that, for people who, you know, the statistics on when their child is diagnosed with autism, how many of them have to change their jobs? It's overwhelming. Right?
Change your
I
life.
had to, right? You
Yes.
had to. It changes your life, and your ability to make income changes because the hours that you're available changes. And the fact that you have paved the way for people and make it possible. And I want to say this too, that I've watched as some of your different locations have started with your new franchisees, and the way you walk them through it, it is such a nurturing thing. It is not
you.
like, you know, here you're on your own.
No.
Here are the napkins with our logo. Do with what you will. You really they're part of your family.
We do, and that's why I need the Debras, okay, and why I knew that Deborah would be amazing at corporate. As a project manager to, you know, clone myself. I would never, you know, trust anybody else. I mean, we now have an East Coast corporate as well, which I'm excited to tell you about, but truly, what do? I mean, we try and fit into our children's, you know, world, their autism land. But what I wanted to do, and didn't even know that I was doing it, was bring my son into the world, into my world, which was a place that was comfortable for him and his sister. That's the whole key, the inclusion part. Because Sophia is not on the spectrum. Gabriel couldn't go the same places that she could, and vice versa. So we were, you know, a lot of us are stuck. So that's the beginning point, which has now, like I said, gone across the nation, and I'm excited to announce where we're going next.
Yes. Should we take a break and then come back and do the announcements? But I want to say, stop and think for just a second about how smart, because you have the physical component, which is such a big deal that our kids need a way to physically move their bodies, which then is the sensory component, which is everything, and there is the social component to it.
That's the key.
And then the inclusion socialization to it, having a place for them to be, to do that, having a place for your family so that, and there's the entrepreneur part of it, both for the family and for the kid. If you've all been looking for, Temple's got a new book out, The Loving Push.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Loving Push.
Every kid has to have an
Absolutely.
opportunity to work a job when they're younger and see how business is conducted. You have a business like this, and your kid is learning it from minute one.
Exactly. And that's why
it
I
gives them
started
an
this.
opportunity
Right.
Yes.
to learn.
And
open up our
skills,
rewrites.
And you're helping your community, and you're connecting with people, and you're putting food on your table and ensuring your kid's future. It's super duper smart. Super duper smart. Okay, so
Thank you.
just really quick before we go to break, where can people go to find out information about franchising?
So they can go on www.wrtsfranchise.com.
We're not as fast as you are. WR, which stands for We Rock the Spectrum.
So WRTS franchise.com
Franchise.
or werockthespectrum.com. That's probably easier, right?
Okay. And when you go there, you'll see some pictures of and we're going to show some pictures when we come back too. We had our sensitive Santa at one of your locations, and
The best.
And honestly, we had such a great time, and the kids had such a great time.
I just wanted to say, to everyone out there, did such an amazing job. So many kids. You guys were book solid. I mean, Santa was phenomenal. It was very moving. I look at that video and those photos, and that was my son's first time meeting Santa.
Well, that's very special to us, but none of it would have happened without you. Let's
Thank
just
you.
say that. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Dina's got some big announcements about We Rock the Spectrum. And it's stuff that affects you and stuff that affects the world, so stick with us.
Hi everyone, welcome back. It's April, which means it's also spring. And what we're gonna be doing today is making our very own chia pets. What's cool about this project, it's an activity that you can revisit with your family as you watch it grow and change. All right, now that I piqued your interest, let's get to it. The materials we'll be needing are water, dirt, arts and craft materials, chia seeds, a container, and nylon. So let's get started. It's super easy. All you're gonna do is you're gonna take an old pair of nylons that you have, you're gonna cut off the toe, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some of your chia seeds and sprinkle them at the very bottom. We don't need too much, just a little bit. And then once I've got my chia seeds there, I'm gonna take my dirt and pour that in. And we wanna make sure that we've got quite a bit in there. You wanna keep this tail. What this does is acts as a way to soak up the water to feed your little chia plant. So I'm gonna take the bottom now. I'm gonna tie this into a knot. So now that I've got this little guy, now it's time to decorate him. And you can decorate him however you feel like. What I did is that I made some little features out of felt that I'm gonna add to my little guy to give him a face. Now that I've got them all decorated, I'm gonna pour some water into my container and make sure my tail is all nice and soaked up in there. And here's my little buddy. I'm a mouse, but you can always make whatever kind of creature your child finds super reinforcing. Make sure they like the little animal that you make so they'll wanna come back and revisit him. As you can see right now, he's a little ball, but hopefully, keeping your fingers crossed, in a week he'll have some hair. With the snap of my fingers, we're gonna go through a week in a few seconds. And oh my gosh, this little guy has changed quite a bit. Can you see how? Yeah, he's got some hair now. You can have your kids describe how this little guy looks to their friends, and you can even work on body parts by having them label all the features that this little guy has on his face. So let's see, what does he have? He's got eyes, a nose, a mouth, and ears. What do you think will happen to him if I stop watering him? Yeah, he probably won't be growing any more hair if I did that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity. I know I did. Tune in next time, okay? And until then, craft on. Bye, guys.
Can you see me? Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm here with two amazing ladies. We're talking about We Rock the Spectrum. We're talking about this amazing place that you have made, and you are now in big cahoots with her.
I am.
But you've been an owner of a We Rock
for 2.5 years.
For 2.5 years. But now, what is your official title?
Project manager.
Project manager.
Yes,
so
and
what does that mean?
Basically, all the new owners or people are interested in opening We Rock, we guide them through the leasing process because a lot of these owners have never owned a business before. So we guide them through, make them understand, make sure they're getting the best deal, and then we help them build their gyms.
Yeah.
Making sure the layouts.
Support, emotional support.
Emotional support is key. Yes.
Right.
Really. She's my clone.
Well, that's
She's
big stuff.
That's
She's better.
Wow. Well,
I don't know about better, just different.
So,
it's a good team.
Wonderful. So again, we're talking to Dina Kimmel and Deborah Kelly Davis. I got to get it right. And before the break, we were talking, Dina, about how this all came about because there was a need in your family for your son, and then you saw what amazing things it did for your son, and so you wanted to share it with more people. And it's grown it's only 5 years? Are you guys five and a half years?
But we've only been franchising really for 2 years and 4 months.
And how many franchises?
We have
again?
57.
57.
Yeah.
I swear before the break it was 56. And when we come back again, it will be 84.
It's a
because
wildfire.
it's growing that fast because it makes so much sense. So you have a couple of announcements. I'm going to let you say them because sometimes I jump ahead of you. Go, did you know We Rock is doing this? And one of them I didn't even know till this morning. So what do you want to start with?
Well, I'm very excited because I know you've asked me before in the past, what's your 5-year plan? And my 5-year plan was to go worldwide, of course. So here we are, 2 years and 4 months in, and I get emotional talking about it, but this is what drove me to franchise, because let's face it, I didn't have the funds to do that either, but what do? We, robbed Peter to pay Paul to make this work, because there were so many emails, please open one in Texas, please open one, up north, please, and, Missouri. So I did it, but what's happening now was, okay, well, maybe in 5 years from now, because as you know, it's a big investment for a company. But I couldn't say no. So we had this amazing family come visit us from Malaysia, and the Yuma Meadows. They're amazing people. Their sons go to Berkeley. Well, one of them just graduated. So we met with them, and this was last year. And I'm like, okay, yeah, right. Like, this is really going to happen, Malaysia, and. They were amazing, and they believed in our vision, and then their vision. And because there's nothing, obviously, as you know, in Asia or really in the UK anywhere. But truly, their vision came from their own son, okay, whom they had, who has ADD and ADHD, and then good friends of theirs has Down syndrome, and it just, Rama. She's amazing, okay? She's like the leader of the ship, and she's going into this with her husband and her 2 friends, Hannah and Nori, and they're amazing ladies and such warriors themselves. But to really take this and put it there, no, I had no idea what that was about. Listen, we have over 2,000 inquiries for people wanting to open up We Rocks. We could have, 500 gyms, but we don't.
Right.
We're very, very careful.
Very selective.
I have to be, because we have to make sure that they're either an autism, mommy or daddy, or they're in the field, because otherwise it doesn't work. You're not getting that community. It's not just if you're making money.
Right.
That's not what matters to
The
me.
heart and
the heart.
And I don't want to say desperation, but that understanding of what's going on needs to be there.
And connecting with your clientele is so
Exactly.
important.
So our owners, like people, we want to open up 4 We Rocks and put great managers in there. That's not what we're about. We're about, I needed a job. I wanted to be with my kids and make sure my son could, I could be leader of his therapy, and that's how this all started. So here now, though, having these people that come, really to find out about We Rock, not just in the States, but across, really the world. So We Rock is officially worldwide. So this is my first announcement of it. So this is it, Shannon. I'm
excited.
I owe this 10 times over to you, because, like I said, we haven't even launched it yet. But yes, it's We Rock the Spectrum Malaysia, and this family has bought the master franchise, contract to open up franchises all across Malaysia. So it's really amazing. We're very, very excited. It's happening.
It's happening.
It is needed worldwide.
We need to get you a cot and have you lay down.
That's exactly
Get her
right.
a cool cloth.
It's
exciting.
It's very, very exciting, like I said. And I really feel blessed that this family that came to us, I feel like they're my family already, and I knew that if it was going to happen, it had to be a situation like that. Because let's face it, it's a little bit scary. I'm going to be setting up corporate there. And then they're going to be the leaders. So you know me, okay? We're both the same here. I don't delegate very well. It took me forever to bring her on. Let me do it. Let me do it all. But truly, to be, I feel like a successful business, we're only as good as the people we have around us. You know that, here as well.
I was just going to say, you don't know me then, because I delegate like mad. Kelby does everything.
Well, you're ahead. You're ahead of it than I am. But I'm learning. We've got amazing franchise developers now in Miami, and that's John and Veronica Canaday. So I don't sell the gyms anymore. They bring me on at the end, and so I do get to meet them. But the Yuma Meadows, they came to us. They just so happened to go into our Berkeley location. They wanted to fly out, and meet us. And now they've been out here a couple times. They're coming out again next month, and this is it. So I'm excited for you guys to see.
And you would never have guessed, if we had talked about this 4 years ago, and we had talked about going worldwide, you would never have guessed that Malaysia would have been first.
No.
But it's because it's the right family.
I think that's it more than anything, because we have inquiries, so it's crazy. Canada, Colombia, Australia, New Zealand. Israel. Israel, which is a huge need, as you know.
Yeah.
We have so many people that visit, specifically maybe my location, because I'm a vacation spot. But I have so many owners, or excuse me, not owners, but people visiting my gym that are from other countries.
Yes.
They're moving here because they're looked down upon if their child has a special need.
It's heartbreaking.
And they
It's
can't
really,
get the
really
services. They can't help their child, so they're moving.
Absolutely.
And so why not have it worldwide where they can access, you know?
Exactly. Why not have? Well, I would have obviously I would have loved to do it from day one, but you know what
These
I didn't
things take time.
realize. Well, they take time. Well, it's crazy. I mean, my 5-year plan has now happened at 2 years, so it's nuts. Of course, obviously.
This surprises
but
no one who knows you, though. No one who knows you, because of course that's you.
It was the need, you know, it was the need. I mean, my husband, you know, here I am now, 2.5 years in, he's like, so, you know, are you ever going to bring home a paycheck? I go, no, we got to go worldwide now. It's like, what? You're going where? You're going to Malaysia? You're going to Malaysia next month? Taken off for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Bye, see you later. But I feel truly blessed. I feel honored to have this opportunity to do it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's another announcement, but I think we should take a short break, and then we'll come back and talk about the one
Excited.
that I those of you who are here stateside, it's going to be a little bit closer to home. So stick with us. More about We Rock the Spectrum after these messages.
What is autism?
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 I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to just
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
Always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love. The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
Welcome back to, I don't know where I am. Which camera am I? Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here with 2 fabulous ladies, Dina Kimmel from We Rock the Spectrum, and I'm going to mess it up. Deborah Kelly Davis. Okay.
I just want to make it more confusing.
Sounds just like a rock star.
Sounds like a movie star.
Right?
Deborah Kelly
You are.
Davis.
She is.
That's what it sounds
In
like.
her 40s.
But they've been talking with us about We Rock the Spectrum and some of the exciting news. We were just talking about the fact that it's opening worldwide now, Malaysia, and Calby had a picture that he was showing in the back, but we want to show it full screen. There it is.
Yeah.
We Rock the Spectrum in Malaysia. This is so exciting.
That's
And-
Kuala Lumpur. So that's the city where they're going to first open, where they live, which is,
One of the
I don't know if
most
you have any
amazing
history, you know,
cities.
about Malaysia, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful there.
I know nothing about Malaysia, but I know it's exotic in my mind, at least. And so you're going to get to go.
Yep.
Have
We
you
are.
been to Malaysia before?
No,
All
I'm
right,
telling
well-
you, all the traveling I've done is through We Rock.
Okay.
You know,
it's very, very
it's
exciting.
unbelievable. Yeah. So this is huge. We're very, very excited.
And there are opportunities to franchise here in the United States as
Oh, yeah.
well. And again, the site to go to
Is-
WRTS, which stands for We Rock the Spectrum franchise.com.
Perfect.
Okay, that's the perfect place to go to find out about franchise, or you can just go to werockthespectrum.com.
To find out about We Rock, yeah. actually see.
WRTS.com to see what kinds of things are going on.
Yes.
Exactly.
But you have another announcement of something new because you're a problem solver.
Or as my husband would say, maker. Oh my
That's
gosh.
funny.
Well, listen. There's, a lot of us are entrepreneurs out there. There has to be the one crazy person, to dive in first. So that's me. Okay, I'm the crazy one that dives in first.
But let's just say this though. I think that you are an entrepreneur and a visionary along the lines of Walt Disney. Like you go, no, seriously, you go, okay. And everybody thought that Walt Disney was crazy.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a theme park? Seriously? You're
Right.
gonna take an orange grove and you're gonna do what with a mouse? I mean, people thought he'd lost his mind.
True.
But I was just there last night. There's nothing crazy about that
amazing.
place. It's amazing. And I think you're along those lines,
She'll
madam.
figure it out.
She
Thank
thinks
you.
she thinks big and she sees something and she goes, well, okay, so this is the way around this. So what's the new thing?
Well, what was exciting was, of course, Malaysia is amazing, but in a lot of areas in Malaysia, of course, they're very rural. So say we have our territories, 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, whatever it is. But in some of these areas in Malaysia would be 60 miles really to have that kind of population. We make sure that every area has a big population to make sure that gym, is going to run successfully. So my franchise developer said, would you be up to, they want to know if they can be creative and possibly go mobile. And I went, forget about it. I go, I'll email you in 5 seconds. I had this vision almost 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, of going mobile, of having We Rock on Wheels. That's the name of it. It's We Rock on Wheels. And so I sent him the file. He goes, leave it to you, Dina, already. So yes, that is it. We're We Rock on Wheels. And I'm very, very excited.
Isn't it cute?
So
cute.
Our first bus is going to be ready. Are you ready? Next week.
Are you
Next
kidding?
week. I'm not kidding you. It's got a zip line, a trampoline in it, monkey bars, the bolster swing. So all the therapeutic swings that are in our gym, it's just in a smaller area.
So it's a bus. Because when you said mobile, I thought you meant like
It's
an
a school
app.
bus.
I thought
It's
you
a
meant like
school
an
bus.
app on a phone.
Oh, no.
And originally I was like, oh, okay, so you got an app. Okay, that's cool. But so it's a school bus. It can pull up. People get on the bus and they can have all the same fun that they would have had in the gym.
Oh yeah, it looks like a little mini We Rock in there. I'm not kidding you. It is unbelievable.
So cool.
I'm very, very excited because, in these more rural areas, okay, of course, these kiddos can't, come to a brick and mortar location. So really, this has pushed what I wanted to do 3 years ago, up front here. And of course, I'm going to let all the owners here take advantage of in the States as well. So that's already begun.
Yeah.
So they're already building. I have to tell you something. When something's meant to be in life, it happens. And this all just unfolded like that. John Canada said, Dina, do you want to go mobile? I sent him the file. Oh my gosh, that's great. And then I went online. Was it that night?
Yeah.
And I bought a bus.
And it came from Tahoe.
It came from Lake Tahoe, okay?
Of course you did.
Yes, it came from Lake Tahoe, and all of a sudden there it was. It was all ripped out already, and the zip line's in there now. We've got, like I said, the trampoline, and we're gonna be able to go to people's homes.
Yeah.
What about the OT therapists that come to our houses, or the ABA therapists, the in-home?
Yes.
You know what? Have We Rock, mobile, We Rock on Wheels come to your home and use all that OT equipment. They're going to get so much more out of their sessions, that.
Yeah.
And then just to be able to go to like the help group, what?
I was
And
gonna say
add
schools, yes.
yeah. But of course, all of our inclusive programs, but also the programs for our kids with ASD.
Yeah.
Can you imagine again getting that exercise and the socialization part of it, right? You bring on about 10 kids at a time on the bus, and you filter them through. It is amazing. I am so excited about this. I feel like a little kid in a candy
brilliant.
store.
Well, and when you said there's a bus, I immediately went to birthday parties, and I know
Of course.
that,
Well, yes,
seems
of
like
course.
a
Yeah.
secondary thing, but birthday parties, especially for our kids on the spectrum,
Oh,
can be
huge.
such a hard thing. And I know after we had you on the show the first time, Nancy Allspaw Jackson, who a lot of our viewers know, she was in a little bit of a pickle because she needed a birthday party for her son, and she needed it overnight. And her husband was dealing with cancer and couldn't do it at her house. And it was this whole big thing. And she was like, I don't know what to do. And, we could go here, we could go there, but it's not going to work out with the autism.
Yeah.
And all these things. And I said, what? Let's do it at a We Rock the Spectrum.
That's right.
Right.
And so within a week, she had her birthday party at the We Rock the Spectrum and said, oh my gosh, this was the most fun thing.
I'm so glad.
It was
Great.
such an amazing thing. But in thinking about, sometimes people do want to do something at their home, but a lot of times people get a bouncy house. right?
Exactly.
And that is a recipe for disaster.
That's exactly, especially our kiddos.
Completely.
Yeah.
I go to well, thank goodness we're at an age where that doesn't happen anymore, but you go and you go, everybody needs to have a place to have their yayas out, but it's like an uncontrolled burn with the bouncy house with kids on the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for those families to have something where their kids have already been to the gym and they already know what to do, and then have their birthday party come to the house, have the gym come to their house.
It's a dream.
That's huge.
Because there's a lot of us, I don't know about you, but when Gabriel was first diagnosed and then he would have these tantrums, these outbursts, I was embarrassed. I mean, that's why our slogan is, we're finally a place where you never have to say, I'm sorry. I start to cry like every time I say it, because literally that came from me having to say, I'm so sorry, and then walking out, with my son and daughter.
Yes.
So, but there's still those parents who don't even feel comfortable going to a re-rock yet.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make me cry. So then we bring, the re-rock on wheels to their home.
Yeah.
The kiddos get used to it. Then they can, this is my vision, what I foresee. Then it brings them out and feel comfortable to,
like
I recognize this equipment.
Right.
Oh, it's a zip line. Oh, it's a bolster swing. Oh, it's the same color scheme as we rock.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna come out of their homes, right, Shannon?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we feel so, secluded, in the beginning.
Yes.
Thank God, not anymore. We have re-rocks at, 17, 18 different states now.
Yeah.
But there's still so many of us out there who don't, who don't feel comfortable. So I'm very excited to bring the therapeutic part, the parties, to bring it to, different schools. Really, so my son, who, is almost 9, Gabriel's been on the zip line, Because a lot of people think, what age group? But really it's like 2 to 10, because my daughter, who, is a little bit petite for her age, she was on the zip line in the bus too. It's about 7.5 feet tall.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Only
I'm
you.
so excited.
Only you. And I mean that in the best possible way.
I know you do. I know you do. From the business standpoint, though, I want to tell you what's great about We Rock on Wheels is, a lot of people can't afford to, still do the brick and mortar locations because they're afraid of the commitment of, rent every day, employees and everything. So also, what does this do? It gives more jobs to people, Because for, about 75, 85,000, they have a bus that's built out and they have a business plan to go, and that's it. And of course, a corporate that supports them. So that's it. I mean, what's their upkeep is the bus. But other than that, again, who can say they can take a business that they know is going to be successful and go and take off?
And when we're in a month right now here in California, I mean, everybody, it's autism, depending on what you subscribe to, awareness, acceptance, action, right? Those are our 3 A words.
Yes.
And there were just tons of events. So I'm thinking about at every event,
bringing a bus,
pull on the bus, and an amazing
And it will
thing.
probably be at Autism Speaks next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're really trying, for the walk, which, by the way, I don't know about you, but to me, well done, Autism Speaks. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal, well done. Well done, Matt Asner and, Jennifer, Sasha, all their team was so phenomenal. But of course, I was hoping that the bus was going to be there, but it wasn't. But really, we're just thrilled to be able to spread the word about awareness and inclusion and giving people a home.
Yeah.
Giving people a home in a community.
And I think it's incredible. There's nothing like it as a business model. If you're a family and you're looking to do some kind of a business, this is the thing to do. And definitely get in contact with Dina. We said that it's WRTSfranchise.com. That's the best place to go for franchise. But I want to talk for just a minute, because not everybody wants to have a business. But everyone, all of us need a place to take our kids.
Exactly.
And I want you to talk just a little bit about how innovative it is, how you guys do this, because I didn't even understand until we came and did the Sensitive Santa that you have different ways. So if somebody wants to bring their kid to the gym, what are some different ways that you make it work?
Well, there's several.
Yeah.
We have our open play, which is basically, me as an autism mommy, when Gabriel was 2.5, I didn't know how to play with my son. So what do we do at We Rock? We teach families and parents or guardians how to play with their kids, because that's what was scary to me, and I was embarrassed for years to go, oh my God, I don't know, how to give him joy. So we teach them that by being on this equipment and with them, actually, Oh my God! Not only
Our
okay,
equipment holds up to 250 pounds,
exactly.
so we can
Exactly.
enjoy it with them.
The trampoline, the bolster swing, the zip line. So whether you have a kiddo on the spectrum or not, but what's great is it's all ages. Like for example, your son. So your son's going to have fun. Okay, your son can ride the zip line, but then also what do we do? Because this is where I'm really working towards and working with my owners is the progressive employment for our young adults and adults on the spectrum, and then really the teenagers. So we bring in the older kids in as like we did with Deborah's daughter Ryan, as junior helpers. So not only do they love the gym, but they're actually working with the younger kids. And you know what? Then the younger kids are like, okay, they're cool because Ryan's working with me. And of course they don't feel intrusive because how some kids, what's the biggest mistake? Us, or neurotypical families, I would say, go, oh my God, hi, how are you? To our little kids, and they're like, oh my gosh. So, well, say for example, with my daughter Sophia, with Ryan, with your son. They're easy on the eyes. They're not going to try and focus, right? So the kids just gravitate to them.
Yes, they don't even have to do anything. My daughter just sits on the bolster swing, and the little girls just come up and sit right next to them.
It is awesome. Then we also have our break time, which is where therapists can come in and work with the little ones. They can leave it to the one-to-one attending care, so the parents can go, take a break, go have dinner, because we know what is that like? Okay, feeling secluded, like there's no date night. What's date night?
Go get a manicure, get your hair done, take care of yourself.
When you need to go to the grocery store and you can't take, or you've got multiple children, and
it's everything.
That's huge, huge. So that's something that you can do.
Absolutely. And then of course we have the birthday parties, which are amazing. And then we have the private play dates, because a lot of us, as mommies in the beginning, we're still uncomfortable to have the whole public around us. So you can shut the gym down for like $120 an hour. It's incredible with 10 kids.
Incredible. An incredible opportunity.
And some of our locations offer classes as well.
Oh yeah, Deborah's has amazing. What do you have, Deborah?
Music, yoga, dance.
Amazing. And a lot, my understanding is that a lot of the gyms, you have a rate that if you pay, you can come unlimited amounts of times.
Oh yeah, we have so we have family memberships now, like single families for $99, you can come every day.
But you don't have to do that, but it's such an opportunity. And for people here in Los Angeles, when it's so hot in the summer, I remember when Jen was little and we needed to be going on play dates, and you can't go out to the park in the middle of the day. It's way too hot. You're going to get all kinds of behavior. But, where do you go? You can only go to the mall, little play areas so many times.
That's exactly
and
right.
You're not really getting anything, happening.
It's overwhelming.
There.
No.
Yes.
Listen, we tell people we're not a substitute for therapy. We're what to do in between. But it's going to help progress your kiddos along.
It's absolutely incredible. You're making such a difference in so many ways. I said to her the other day, I said, I want to be you when I grow up. I want to be more like you when I grow up. And she was like, oh, you silly thing. And I said, no, I genuinely mean it. You were helping people in so many different ways. And one of the biggest ways, it's not even the biggest. One of the ways that you're doing it that I don't see anybody else doing it is empowering people to have a business so that that involves their children. I don't see anybody else doing that, Dina.
Thank you. Well, I'm very proud. They just emailed us and said that I was nominated for the San Fernando Valley of the Business, the Women's Business Journal, and I look at that, and for me that's special for me, because what are we doing? We're empowering women.
Well, who do I write to say that you should win?
It's so funny. But just the fact to be around women like that, and to show them that what, you can have a job. Okay, just because you have this autism diagnosis doesn't mean that's it. No, you can have a business and interact with other people.
Career, and it involves your child. And I notice, because I'm watching, it isn't just moms.
No.
You have the dads.
Single dads. Single dads. Yep, absolutely.
We love that.
Absolutely.
More your dads, more your moms.
Thank you so much for everything that you do and for being here. And thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to be around more and hear more about what you're doing
amazing.
Now that I'm glad that you have help too.
Otherwise
we would
try to do it by herself, but she needs help.
We were going to have to clone you. So that's who you are now. A mini-me.
Yin and yang.
That's exactly right.
Well,
great energy.
Yes.
You need to have that. Fabulous.
It's the energy. It's you and Nancy. Like watching you and Nancy together. Oh my gosh. It's like Lucy and Ethel. You guys are hysterical.
That's what people call us,
but
Lucy and Ethel.
Great energy. Great energy of owners. I'm very blessed. The synergy, we don't even have to ask for. We rock. So
fabulous. It's very exciting. And again, if you want to have more information, WRTSfranchise.com or WRTS.com. or We Rock the Spectrum.
WeRockTheSpectrum.com.
WeRockTheSpectrum.com. Go there, check it out. You even have a music video.
We do. It's called We Rock the Spectrum. It's awesome song.
Fabulous stuff. So check it out and take your kids to one of those gyms. And if it feels right to you, and I know that it will, ask about franchising.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to right now take a break, and normally we would go to the A word, but today we are debuting a new video called The Road to Recovery with Nicholas Yates.
Wow.
We took Nicholas Yates for a ride in the car. He's a gentleman who works at CARD now, but he recovered from autism. He's one of the kids featured in the video recovered.
Oh.
Amazing young man.
Can't wait to see it.
And so we're going to play that for you right now, and then when we come back, we have Summer Dabbs and Larry Hauser from Fullerton Cares are going to be talking about the Mardi Gras for autism.
Awesome.
Oh, I can't wait.
So all of that coming up, but first, take a look. Nick Yates, The Road to Recovery. You went to school up in Washington, and then you spent some time working, and just recently you've returned back to the LA area.
Correct.
And what are you hoping to achieve back here in LA? What's the plan?
You know, at the moment I don't really know what the long-term plan is, but I'm really enjoying the work I'm doing as an administrative assistant for the contracts department dealing with matters related to insurance. It really engages my mind.
Okay,
And
this I don't understand. Insurance is engaging?
yeah, it can be. I mean, just having to make sure that all your ducks are in a row, everybody's getting billed, has their authorizations. It's a complicated process, but I definitely like the challenge of it.
Like, what was your favorite class while you were at college?
So the way it works at Evergreen is that you have these multidisciplinary programs that usually make up a full-time load. My favorite program was one I took my junior year called Writing American Cultures, which basically focused on aspirations and realities. I mean, one thing particularly focused on was the contrast between ideals and realities, or the challenge of what one thinks of themselves versus what others think of themselves. And it was reading books such as Invisible Man and Replaceable You that helped me to realize the consequences of letting others define us.
Yeah.
And that just allowed me to break free when I realized that, because I think for so long I think I succumbed to others' definitions of me, but I would not do that anymore, because you're going to end up believing that you're devoid of something rather than being something or somebody and discovering new hobbies and talents and skills.
And so now you feel like you are at a place where you fully accept yourself instead of looking for other people for validation?
I do.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm twice your age, and I don't think I'm there yet, Nick.
Well, thanks
So
for reassuring.
that's pretty good that you're there at that young age. Everybody know what they want?
I do.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
How can I help you today?
Okay, Nick's gonna order first. Go for it.
I'd like to take a number 1, add grilled onions and pickles, animal-style fries, and a Coke, please.
What do you think the biggest struggle was when you were young?
I think the biggest struggle by far is obviously wanting to be accepted for who I am, who I was and who I am, and not be defined by a neurological condition because of the troubles of, having...
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Maybe 1161.
Thank you. Sorry, we're talking about something really important.
Yeah.
Tubby didn't even want a soda.
But anyway, you were asking me earlier what was like the most difficult thing.
And you were talking
I think it was
very eloquently.
I was talking about, I found the biggest challenge by far is being accepted for who I was at a young age, because, being diagnosed with autism at age 4.5 and then enter kindergarten while still struggling, and the fact that the Culver City Unified School District is small. You go to school with mostly the same people from kindergarten through 12th grade. So because of this was how I came across to and was remembered by a lot of my peers. So even after I had improved to a significant extent or recovered, I think I wasn't really seen as anything more than a neurological condition, and that just made it really hard for me to fit in socially.
And was it just the kids that you were going to school that made you feel like you didn't fit in, or was it everything?
It was really the kids, for the most part. Adults were a lot more kinder, although I can tell you I had one first grade teacher who once, I just don't think really understood what I was going through. And she actually one time told my parents that she didn't think I had any chance of succeeding. And hearing that just makes me like, wow. I mean, I feel sorry for her because she didn't understand, but still, when you are in a position where you're supposed to empower the lives of young individuals, you should never say anything like that. That's degrading.
So I gotta ask you though, because we get a lot of mail from people who say that they feel like ABA in particular causes people to feel like how they are and who they are isn't enough, and that ABA is trying to change them. And one of the things people have said to us is, where are all the adults who had ABA? And why don't we see them? We hear parents talking about how great ABA is, but where are all the adults who had ABA?
Right.
So what do you think? Do you feel like ABA made you feel bad about who you are and changed who you were?
You know, there's definitely a period where after services ended for me, I didn't really want to have anything to do with CARD or any of that, because I just felt that it just made life difficult, especially when I'd have therapists shadow me at school, and they weren't really there to really interact with me too much, but I had an idea, and you can tell people under something is up when people are looking at you weird and they're like, what is up with Nick? And you're just trying to fit in as best as you can. But now I'm like, why try to fit in when you were born to stand out? I read that somewhere. But it wasn't really until, the Recovered documentary came around, and then when I worked at the old headquarters for a couple summers, that I really, and my time in college, that I really started to look at this all in a different light. And, if it weren't partly for that, if not entirely, I just wouldn't be where I am today.
Okay, so, and while we're talking about this, because you were featured in the movie Recovered, and that's a word that got used in conjunction with you, that you recovered from autism at what age?
Recovered at 10, even though my services didn't end until I was 14, gradually fading out.
Okay.
It was felt that there were still some things that I needed to improve.
So, do you use the word recovered? Do you say that about yourself? Do you say I recovered from autism?
I do, but the way I look at it as, I probably still have some, I'll admit, I'm not perfect. I probably still have some characteristics and traits and symptoms that are characteristic of autism. But what they say is that, you need to meet certain criteria in order to qualify for a diagnosis. So when you no longer meet the minimum criteria, then you would definitely be deemed recovered.
Right. And it's considered a diagnosis of a disorder.
Exactly.
Do you feel that you, at this point in your life, have a disorder?
Indeed, I think I, to a certain extent, I still do have disabilities in some way, but I do not let them hold me back. I don't let it hold me back, and I don't let it define who I am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's eat.
Let's eat.
Any regrets?
No regrets. I've had moments in life where, maybe I could have said or done things differently, but, experience is experience. It makes you wise, and I guess sometimes you have to go make a few mistakes to find out who you really are.
Why? You're so wise for your age, Nick. Why do you think that is? Is that just you, or is that your parents, or is that what you've been through, or a combo platter? What do you think?
Fact is, all I can say is I just know what I know. It doesn't really get any clearer than that. It's nothing.
You're very passionate about things, and you feel things so deeply, and I know how much you care about people, and you remain centered. So what ticks you off? What makes all that go away? Do you ever get mad and lose it?
I very rarely lose my temper, but definitely, let's say, there's some pet peeves that just drive me crazy, or if And sometimes I can be very sensitive, so if somebody just says something that makes me feel that way, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I have a hard time with accepting feedback or being told things I don't necessarily like to hear, especially from my folks, but I try my best to respond as opposed to reacting. Because you ultimately have to realize that nobody's against you.
I want to crochet that on a pillow. There are people who need to have that said to them on a regular basis. Yeah. Nobody's against you here. Mm-hmm. I'm probably one of them.
Well, thanks again for this. Made my day.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for going with us.
My pleasure.
Is there anything that you wish people knew about you?
You know, this is certainly what I would like to be remembered for when I die. I just wish everybody would always know that no matter what, I always try to be and do the best I could be and do every day. And that's all that really matters.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm really excited because for the first time on the live show, you've seen her on one of our recorded segments that we actually played earlier. Summer Dabbs is here with us, and she's from Fullerton Cares. She's a director at Fullerton Cares. But she is so much more rounded than that. You are... I'm going to get it wrong.
That's okay.
In the school system, you are, tell me.
Instructional assistant.
Instructional assistant. That's what I couldn't get out. And you're a former ABA therapist.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So she's a pretty amazing person. And when we go to events, Summer is one of the people that is making everything work. I see that all the time. And it's not just at Fullerton Cares events. You're just one of those people gravitate to. You're super duper helpful. You have the most beautiful hair. And I can always find you in a crowd. And you're always somebody who knows what's going on and super duper helpful. And she has this beautiful smile that everybody sees, and we all gravitate towards that too. So Summer is amazing, and Summer has been a part of some really amazing things happening with Fullerton Cares and with the city of Fullerton. I get so emotional when I talk about what's happening in Fullerton. I promised myself I wasn't going to cry, but I'm going to anyway. Because we always talk about where we want to get to, what we want to do, and how frustrating it is because we're not there yet, and we're not making the progress that I feel like we need to make in so many places. And yet I see that a group of you have gotten together in Fullerton, and you're making it happen. And you're making it happen in such a way that is unlike anything else, and it always gives me hope. It always gives me hope. And so I want to talk about some of the things that you guys have going on, because I know we talked about earlier today about the Mardi Gras for Autism, and it's coming up on the 16th, and we're going to talk about that. But last night I got a press release, and knowing that you were going to be on the show today, I got a press release about another thing that Fullerton Cares was doing and that you're a very important part of. And I looked at it and I said, oh, okay, this is just another reason why Fullerton is an amazing place and why Fullerton Cares. They're making the prints in the snow that we all need to follow, quite honestly. So tell our viewers what this event is and what's happening.
Sure. The school that I work at is Golden Hill in Fullerton. And our teacher, Caitlin Villa, came up with an awesome idea. She said, why don't we have a lighted up blue autism awareness lunch party for all of the students in our school? In the beginning of the school year, she had come up with another great idea to have lunch buddies. So they come in, our typical kids will come in with our kids, and we sit two typical kids with one of our students in our classroom. They have lunch together, and then we have a bunch of games. They get out games and they play. And it's so wonderful to see. And the students there are so wonderful with our kids. So then she came up with the idea of having this lunch party, and it's for the entire school. So we are going to have a huge sensory area out there. We bring these big wading pools with water beads and rice and beans and all sorts of that sensory stuff for all of the kids to enjoy. We're going to have a huge sidewalk chalk area. We're having bubbles out there. We're having a DJ. So what we did was we took our kids yesterday and we taught them a line dance so that they can dance with the typical kids and do the same line dances that they do. And it's really neat to see our kids interact with the other kids in the school and to see them all come together, promote awareness. We're also going to do little puzzle piece temporary tattoos for all the kids. We'll have a temporary tattoo station. Just make it a party. We're going to decorate the school with blue everywhere. We're going to wrap the poles and put up blue balloons and just make it a special day for our kiddos and for the students who have supported our kiddos and make, bring about more awareness.
It's such an amazing idea. And we constantly talk about how are we going to do this? How are we going to do inclusion? How are we going to get to acceptance? We talk about awareness and acceptance and action. How are we going to get these things going? How are we going to make it happen? And I think sometimes we overthink it. Yes. And what a wonderful, wonderful thing to do, to have a party. So there's no stigma attached to anything, but you're giving the kids who don't necessarily get to an autism event a way to put this in a context that's positive. And the self-esteem that gives the kids who are on the autism spectrum it's immeasurable.
Absolutely.
It's so valuable. What an amazing, amazing thing. But see, this is what happens when you create an atmosphere in which people aren't afraid.
Right. And I think the key, especially with Fullerton Cares, we try and make all of our events, even our adult events, fun. It's because if you're from the outside, you're not sure. You might be a little afraid. You don't know. If you make it fun, everybody has a great time. It breaks down those barriers. The kids don't know. The typical kids don't know that they're, necessarily making a difference. They're just having a good time with their other friends, and the adults see that and can learn from that. So I think it's really key to start with the kids. So with the Mardi Gras event, how we have inclusion there, at school having inclusion there and having these parties, you start with those kids. Then they grow up knowing these other kids that might be a little bit different, but they don't care. They've seen it. They know it. They're friends with them anyway, and I think that's really important to start with the kids.
Absolutely.
I think it's easier with kids than adults.
They
Adults
are
already
so
have their
they're so much more accepting.
Absolutely.
Their hearts are completely open, and so when we give them the right information, boy, that trickles up and down.
Absolutely.
Which is wonderful. So kudos to you for this wonderful school program. Absolutely amazing, and what a difference that you're making there. I want to talk for just a second about some of the other things that Fullerton Cares does, because it's so unique. You guys over the 4th of July, you have a firework booth. And I just want to say, I know that it benefits your area and it benefits your schools greatly, which is super duper smart. We're going to talk about that in a second. But here's the other thing, is that for you as an autism parent, we talk about how isolating it can be for many of you. And what Fullerton Cares has put a group of adults together so you have more fun, I think, per capita than anybody else. The first time I heard about the firework booth, and I was like, oh gosh, they have to volunteer at the firework booth, and I wouldn't want to do that and then you see all the fun that you guys have at the firework booth. I think we would all be lucky to volunteer at the firework booth. Yes. It looks like a college party. You guys have such a good time.
Well, again, we're based on fun, so we don't just set up a fireworks booth. No, we set up, we have free snow cones, and we have activities going on outside. We have tents set up. We have hilarious volunteers that come in, and they are so funny selling these fireworks, and we have a blast. We have 10 people in this tiny little hot, box, and we're having a blast. And it's all, all for the kids, and we have a lot of our students that come, and I get to see them there, and it's just wonderful. But we are so blessed to have so many great volunteers. We have volunteers that call me, what time do I need to be there for the fireworks stand this year? Or when's Mardi Gras? We're there. It's just unbelievable.
Because they want to be there because it's so cool. But then you sell the fireworks, and that benefits, you're able to write checks for supplies for the school.
Yes. So the past 2 years when we've had the fireworks stand, we were able to give every autism classroom $1,000 to start out the school year, which was absolutely amazing. They can buy supplies, games, whatever they need for their classroom. And to hand out those $1,000 checks was just amazing. It was
Honestly,
unbelievable.
I mean, when we talk about how do you make a difference, right? Let's stop and recap
Right.
here, okay? So not only have the parents, they have a place to go and be with other parents where they don't have to feel like they're alone, but they're able to write a $1,000 check to each and every one of the autism classrooms. Now, how do you think that changes the dynamic? When there's a group of people, parents, who are saying, here's $1,000 for your classroom. And by the way, my kid is in one of those classrooms and I'm going to sit across from you at the IEP coming up in a couple weeks. Do you think that's different than if that $1,000 check? It's so smart.
Yeah.
And who benefits from it?
Right.
Obviously the teachers benefit from it because they have the right tools.
Yes,
And if
yes.
you give the right tools to teachers,
Yes.
teachers do amazing things, right?
Absolutely.
And our kids benefit.
Absolutely.
So smart.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the many things that you guys do. You guys put together a sensory garden that you did for a preschool, correct?
It was, it's a whole wing actually of a school, but they do have preschool there, and it's an autism program, and we worked closely with another teacher there, Sue Penanicchio, and she gave us the ideas that she had of creating this garden that's all sensory oriented. We have a pebble harp thing that's really, really neat, a water pump for the kids. We know how much our kids love water.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But 4 big flower beds. So what they were doing was teaching in the classroom certain lessons and taking those lessons out and applying them to the garden as well. They were trying new foods, which, as we all know, our kiddos sometimes have a hard time with that. So they would grow their own food and the kids would try it because they grew it. I mean, how amazing is that? But in addition to all of those sensory things outside, they would also get the typical kids as a reward because they wanted to play in the sensory garden too. So as a reward for good behavior, they would get to come over and play with our students in the sensory area. And again, here we go with inclusion.
Yes.
And that's what we're always trying to promote. So it's just been really neat to see that over at that school.
I'm telling you, when I tell you guys they're doing it right, I'm not kidding around. And again, when you look at when we as parents can become part of the solution instead of arguing.
Yes.
So the end result of that is like it's so huge. But here's just one of the symptoms of it, that when you go to the Mardi Gras for Autism, which we're going to talk about, the people from the school district are there.
Yep.
The superintendent of schools is always there, which is such a freaky thing. The first time that I was there, and we were there at the booth and talking, and the person was saying, "Oh, well, I'm the superintendent." I went, "You're here? You're here at this?"
Right.
And she was like, "Where else would I be?"
Yes.
And there are teachers that are there. The school is there because you support the schools and the schools support you guys. But it's not just the schools who come to the Mardi Gras for Autism. The whole community comes.
The whole community comes.
I was explaining this to somebody the other day who, somebody said to me, "Well, we know you're going to a lot of events. Tell us, what are the events in the month of April?" And I said, "Okay, well, here's this thing, and here's this thing, and here's this." And I was telling them about the different things for each. And I said, "And then there's the Mardi Gras for Autism, which is unlike anything else." And they were like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, when you go there, don't expect to just meet people who have kids on the spectrum.
Right.
Expect to meet the entire community of Fullerton, and they're going to want information about autism, and they're going to be positive, happy people, and you're going to meet the rainbow. Every single demographic, every ethnicity is going to be there, and everybody's going to have a good time. Get your party hat on, bring your party prizes, and see inclusion as it needs to be.
Absolutely.
Everything else, we talk about how do we cross over? How do we get beyond just the autism community? How do we get this well, Fullerton Cares already has that figured out, which is why I say you guys need to write a book.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna keep on you guys until you get the book. So tell us a little bit about this year's Mardi Gras.
So Mardi Gras is we're in our 6th year now. It actually started out very, very small, and it has grown over the years. It started out as just like a little sidewalk area where we had some face painters and some balloon twisters, and now it's an entire parking lot in the Fullerton train station.
Yes.
It's right behind Bourbon Street, also Slide Bar and a few other restaurants. Slide Bar actually lets us use their stage for karaoke. So the kids actually get up on a real stage and sing their hearts out. It's awesome. We also have another outside stage where we have a dance company upstairs that comes down and all of their kids perform. Within their dance company, they have a program called Everybody Moves Now and Everybody Dance Now. And that is an inclusion program for kids on in any special needs kids. And they get up and perform. And let me tell you, there's not a dry eye in the house with that one. It's unbelievable.
And that's another program that Fullerton Cares helps to make sure that it's funded so that people can afford those lessons.
Absolutely.
We had Robin Hogerheis on the show yesterday, and she's involved with Fullerton Cares and involved with those programs. And I think one of the most amazing things I've ever heard is the way she trains neurotypical kids in the classes to be able to be the mentors for the, so that they're, it's not mentors, I don't know what the word is that she uses, but they're, instead of having an older adult who's the assistant to help them to do that, they have a neurotypical peer who's a friend, a buddy, who's there helping them to do it, which we know is more socially appropriate and is more motivating for them, hands down.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
It's great to
like,
see.
are you keeping track how many times they do it right? Okay, so back to the Mardi Gras.
Okay, so back to Mardi Gras. So in addition to our performances on our big stage outside, we also have a Dixieland jazz band that roams the entire event, which is fun. We have the FBI coming. We have the SWAT team coming.
FBI coming.
They are bringing robots and their trucks and really cool things for the kids to look at. We have a video game truck for all our gamers out there. So that is they're very, very popular. We have found out last year how much kids love those mechanical like bulls, but we had a shark last year. So now we will have 2 this year because it was so popular. But we have a lot of attractions that the kids love sensory-wise like that moves them. We have a bungee thing this year where they get to jump up and down. We have inflatables where it slides, everything for the kids. We also have a big resource fair this year. It grew. We have 30 resource vendors this year. And that's great because what we do is we have each vendor must provide an activity for the kids. That lets the parents talk while the kids are busy. And so they are not busy, they're not trying to talk, okay, I got it, I've got to run. Kids are busy, they're able to talk and get the information that they need. So we kind of try to design it that way so that the parents could have a moment to talk.
It's such a fun thing. It's so smart. It's so amazing. And to be there with the entire community. Like I said, there's just nothing else like it any place I've ever been. Calby and I will be there at this year's Mardi Gras, and we're excited that we're going to get to be there. I wouldn't miss it. Last year when I came down, I did not bring my son, and I heard about it all year long. He's coming this year.
Hey.
So he had something else that he had to go and do, and I didn't want him to miss that, and so we had to make a decision, and so Dad took him to that, and I came, and everybody asked for him, first of all, and he was so ticked afterwards.
In trouble.
I was in big trouble. So he'll be there this year because it's so much fun.
It is.
And it's fun for everybody. It's fun for the adults. You have senior citizens that are there. I'm telling you, the whole community.
It's the whole reach, yeah. It's
whole
great.
community.
We have Girl Scout troops that come, and they hand out beads to all of the families coming into the event, welcoming them to the event. The Girl Scouts help out in our sensory area. We have a whole group of Fullerton elementary school teachers that are running the sensory area this year. It's very exciting.
And that's a whole other wonderful place to go in that it's fun. But I'm glad you brought up the volunteers because you guys do volunteers in a way that nobody else does volunteers. As you said, you make it fun, but you also have more bodies and really nice and educated bodies. People walking around finding ways to be helpful and finding ways to have everybody be included and problem solving. It's an army.
Yes.
You have an army
Yes,
of
we
people that come in to do this and are happy to do it. I have to say, and I hope I'm not going to make anybody mad here, but this year's Autism Speaks Walk was the best walk that we've ever been to, and it's a huge, huge event. But their volunteers this year, I feel like they came to the Mardi Gras and went, you know, these people do this right. I think we're going to do this more this way. It seems like, because things were done in a different way, and it seemed like it was more the Fullerton Cares way. I don't know. I don't want to tick anybody off. But everybody was commenting on it and going, wow, this is amazing. Because we've always been so super taken care of at the Fullerton Cares, and there's just always somebody who's right there to help in whatever you need. And it's truly a wonderful thing that you guys are doing. I didn't even bring up the prom, but I think we should take a break. We should bring Larry in to talk about the prom.
Sure.
We're talking about Larry Hauser. Larry, who started all of this in his mind, wanted to make a difference and said, I'm going to pull some people together and we're going to do this. And he did that even before he knew that it was going to be about autism.
Yep.
He wanted to help with autism and he wanted to help with other things. And then as soon as he had started putting the idea in motion, discovered that his son was on the autism spectrum. It takes my breath away to think about that, but his heart was already in the right place. And then what he's been able to do is he's a great guy. I know that you know that.
Yes. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I know that you are. I know that you are. But so let's take a break. Let's get Larry. We're going to force him in here. He wasn't going to come and be on camera, but let's force Larry to be with us because he's that kind of awesome. So take a look at this. We'll be back more talking about Fullerton Cares with Summer Dabbs and with Larry Hauser. Stick with us.
Nick was diagnosed with autism in 1994 at the age of 4. He received 5 years of therapy from CARD that eventually faded out. Nick recovered from autism in 2001.
The song I'm about to perform is by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. CARD helped many patients, myself, to recover to this level now.
Cheryl and Mike's son, Jack Riley, was diagnosed with autism in 2010 at age 2. He's been receiving therapy from CARD for a year and a half. Today, Cheryl, Mike, and Nick meet for the first time.
I'm curious as to what you remember.
I certainly remember pretty long sessions, and I'd be frustrated if I would make mistakes. I mean, I remember one time I had to count a row of 6 blocks, kept messing up. That was really difficult.
No. I need it.
At what point do you recall hearing the word autism?
I was able to figure out what I was going through without anybody having to tell me.
Our concern is if it's a big secret to hide. I don't know what we can say.
No one ever told you, you just discerned
But the
it?
reason I'm comfortable talking about this is because I felt it. In therapy, I certainly began questioning why people reacted as they did based on what I said and did. Particularly because of difficulties I was facing in school. It got to a point where I wanted to understand why it was. I entered while still going through therapy and still showing significant signs of the mental condition. Even after I'd improved to a significant extent, there were those who still gave me a hard time for it.
Did it hurt your feelings when you were in school, the way that kids...
Oh, absolutely, because it was bullying, it was harassment.
That scares us.
They called me names. I was basically, when it came to sports and PE, I was usually the last kid chosen.
Did teachers intervene?
Fortunately, not really. I mean, it was just so hard for me to talk about it because of how ashamed I felt. Certainly the first few years of elementary school, I don't think I really had the most supportive teachers. I mean, I remember my mom told me how my first grade teacher once said that she thought I had no chance of getting anywhere. And going away to college and out of state and being the only person from my old school district has made a difference. It's just really improved my social life tremendously because I got to be me, because with nobody knowing about my past, I wasn't faced with these misconceptions and prejudgments.
Do you tell people, new people that you meet?
No, that's not the first thing I will ever
No, I would
tell
hope it's not the
and
first thing.
You know what? In most cases, I never do, because while it's a part of my past, it doesn't define who I am. I mean, just thinking back to the very beginning, pretty much each episode, autism, what, not who.
I want to tell you right now, though, I'm so impressed with you.
Likewise.
I want you to know that.
Likewise. I mean, your son really inspires me just as much because I'll tell you anytime.
I adore him, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't challenging.
I mean,
it's cost me my the stuff that like career things, goals. I don't care about those anymore. I work at night. I'm tending bar. Not that I'm too good for that. I'm just saying that's what I do. I want him to have a chance.
Right.
And you inspire me now.
Thank you.
The feeling goes both ways. The feeling's mutual.
Before you leave today, we would like you to meet Jack.
I would love to.
This is Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Jack Riley.
All right, should we try this? I'm gonna try to take a picture of all of you. 1, 2, and 3.
Jack Riley, you rock.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Okay, I said today is like a show where it's my favorite people show, because we had Dina Kimmel on before, and she's one of my favorite people, and you guys are some of my favorite people, and you are one of my favorite autism dads, and that's saying a lot because there's a bunch of autism dads that I love, but you are. Okay, now I'm going to get all emotional, but honestly, what you have done is so inspirational to me personally, Mr. Larry Hauser. I always talk about the power of one, and you're the person who always makes me think of the power of one, because you're an autism dad, and you are a person in your community in Fullerton that you're a business owner. You have the Bourbon Street Bar and Grill, and you had that restaurant and said, I want to make a difference in my community. I want to do something here, and I want to do something that's important. And you decided to do that and started Fullerton Cares. We're all going to cry. I'm going to get on the tissue. And then after you decided that, your son was diagnosed.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I mean, just, you know.
All right.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. It's just you're so awesome, and
No, I think it's awesome.
and I just don't. Sometimes I just feel like that introduction is just something that is not necessary, but it's so wonderful to hear, But I just think that every autism dad should be doing that, I think that's what, if they have the means, that's what they absolutely should be doing. But what was the question again?
Well, I think it was more just about the fact that how. And every time I think that I'm like, well, Larry impresses me, right? And I'm comfortable in that. Then you do something else, I go someplace and I see you doing something else, and I just go, you are changing the world. You're changing the world because you set the tone. Now I know that you have a bunch of people like Summer. Who believe in your mission and who are there with you, and they put in the time and they put in the hours. But it all starts at who has the vision and who sets the tone, and I know that that's you. I hear that all the time, and people say, well, Larry said we needed this, and so I showed up. Yeah. And then they found a home, and they stayed and stayed and stayed, but you set the tone. And it's important, and I want people to hear that because I know everybody's sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do. And I certainly am one of those people, but when you sign up and say, well, I'll do this, and sometimes that just means hooking yourself up with somebody who's got that vision, right? Volunteering and saying, I want to know more about what you're doing. You find everything when you do that. So either be like Larry or follow people like Larry. Because it changes. And I have seen over the years how the equation has changed in Fullerton, and it needs to happen everywhere. Larry, I would vote for you for president. I really would. What are you doing for the next 4 years? But at the very least, as I've said a couple of times, and I'm really going to start saying a lot, you have to write the book or the manual or whatever, because I know that there are communities who are like, okay, we see it, we just don't know how you did it.
Well, I think everybody needs to start with what they do good, whatever it may be. My job being a restaurant owner, and our restaurant's really unique. I mean, we're a New Orleans style restaurant, but then at night we live in a a college town, and
Yes.
our restaurant's in a college town. So I have to figure out, what these college kids like, and their like changes all the time. So I have to be very observant of their behavior, what they like, what they're into, how to advertise, what social media, I guess, app they're going to next.
Right.
And I take that philosophy into our events. I really want to find out and observe and learn about what children with autism like. So what we have created with our events, especially the Mardi Gras event, is everything is designed for them. At the same time, we have learned after testing it that these sensory-oriented attractions are also very appealing to neurotypical children as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we've created is this awesome mixture of attractive event, for typical families and for families, affected by autism. So I'm constantly, just thinking about the next thing and testing one attraction this year, seeing if it worked, if it didn't work. If it worked, we keep it. If it doesn't work, we try something new.
Yeah.
And that's I'm gonna misquote this Steve Jobs saying, but it had something to do with doing something good and then admiring it and then moving on to the next thing. So we look at it and we don't spend too much time, admiring what we've done,
Right.
and then we move on to the next thing, because what really matters is getting these kids out and having a good time and seeing the smiles on their faces. And I remember a show that you did before. I was really proud of it, and it just talked about the diversity of demographics that we have coming out to our events, and I just I was taken back by that. I was really proud of it, because that's what we want. We want everybody to come out to these events, even families that don't normally come out to any type of autism related things. So that's our Mardi Gras event.
One of the things I've said about Fullerton Cares is that you're like Star Trek. That when you watch, if you're at all a Trekkie and you watch on Star Trek, and it's the future as we all want it to be. Everybody is equal and even, and there's the blue alien who's sitting next to the pink alien, and everybody understands that the blue alien is different than the pink alien and that they have different things that they like, but everybody's accepted and equal, and nobody's looked down upon, and you're there, right? And the earliest Star Trek, it changed the way people looked at things, because it demonstrated that. I remember Whoopi Goldberg talking about Lieutenant Uhura, that she grew up as a little girl and saw Lieutenant Uhura and said, oh my gosh, there is an African-American woman in a place of power, and she's esteemed, and if she can do that, then I can do that. And so we're always trying to get to this place of acceptance and appreciation and action and inclusion with autism. And I go to Fullerton, and it's there. You're the Star Trek of autism. It's where we all need to get. It's already happening where you are. It's not a big puzzle piece there. It's not a big mystery. And I've watched you make it happen. It's a really cool magic trick, which is why I'm telling you, you need to do reverse engineering and show us all how to do it. But I think, Larry, that part of the secret sauce is that you're looking at things and saying, how do I make it fun for everybody?
Yeah, and we really have a worker mentality. I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing. I mean, it's a worker shirt. These are my uniforms for Urban Street as well. And that's our mind frame. It's like, we're going to work for these kids. We're going to just keep on working for these kids, and that's just what we do.
And we've talked about some of the different programs, but we had said we were going to wait and talk. We're going to have you come in and talk a little bit about the prom.
And I think that was the first time I had you on the show, was that Jess Block-Nieran told us about the prom that you were doing, and I was like, we got to get this guy on the show. We got to get this guy on the show. And then I met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so great. So tell our viewers what the whole prom thing was about.
Well, I was contacted by a friend who had a child in a high school special needs class in the Fullerton School District, and we talked about it before, but we finally put things in motion. And what we did at the restaurant was we pretty much staged everything. We staged a host who was ABA trained. We staged servers who were ABA trained, and Fullerton Cares bought the corsages and the boutonnieres, and we had a special menu that was easy for them to order off of, and we just really wanted to make a prom for them that was as close as typical as we could get it, for them. So the great thing about it is that we're now in our fourth year, okay, and now my staff is just as good as the ABA. So I don't need them anymore. My staff is just as tuned in with it as any ABA staged waiters or waitresses that we can put there. So.
But the prom wasn't held at Bourbon. They went to a typical prom, which was
right.
Which was
but
a big deal.
But they had the hair done.
Right. So they had makeovers,
Yes.
and then Fullerton Cares got the corsages and the boutonnieres. Then they went and had their prom dinner, just like all the other kids did, and then they all loaded on a bus and took them to the typical prom. And I think that was the first year that they had been invited to the typical prom, right, at that school? I think so.
I believe so.
I think so. So they've been going
But
ever since then.
one really cool thing with this thing was I believe it was last year or the year before, one of the kids was voted prom king by his typical peers at the school. Again, that is how
former clients, ABA clients, by the way. So I was very proud.
I'll bet.
And that's what's so great about Fullerton. You're right. There is a culture going on there, and I'm just so proud of it.
And when you think about that, so 5 years later, the kids in your community, they just accept this. It doesn't have to be explained to them. You don't have to draw them a picture. In fact, when we as the vendors come to Fullerton Cares, your community educates us about how this is working. When I go to most autism events, we're at the walk on Saturday, the big Autism Speaks walk, and we had Nick Yates with us, and he, as people were coming up to the table, he was saying, what brings you to this walk? And of course, most people were saying, oh, I have a child, I have a grandchild, I have a friend, my cousin, whatever, is on the spectrum. And that's a pretty typical thing when you're at an autism event. I say, do you have someone in your family that's affected by autism? But I don't ask that at Fullerton Cares, Mardi Gras. I don't ask that. I ask, what would you like to know about today?
Right.
Because people are there and they want to know about things, but why they want to know about it is as varied as the number of cars that are in the parking lot, right? And it's this. I get chills thinking about it. It's an amazing, amazing thing, and that there was the year that you had the most rain, right?
Oh, wow.
That it was the most challenging as everything was being taken down, and everybody soldiered through it, and it was still a great event. I mean, torrential downpour.
Awesome turnout. I could not believe it.
Right? And everybody had fun. It was a good time, and you took care of everybody.
Right.
You took such good care. I remember calling that week and going, they're saying it's going to be a monsoon. You're canceling, right? Nope. We're going to be here. And I went, okay. But as everything was being torn down, and I've told the story before, so I won't belabor it, but a woman was coming out of a restaurant and was watching everything being torn down, and she was with her husband. She was all dolled up and dressed up, and she was like, hey, what was this thing that you guys were doing here? What was this? I said, oh, it was the Mardi Gras for autism. Did you miss it? This was amazing. And she said, oh, autism. Oh, what a sad, sad thing. And I went, oh no, you didn't get the memo. This was a good time. You missed it. And this is nothing to be sad about. There's all kinds of great things. And she just, what? And I remember thinking, wow, okay, that alone
that alone, that in the takedown, we can stop somebody and go, no, rearrange that thinking. That's an old manual that makes no sense. Burn that baby. I just thought, that's life-changing. Yes. Life-changing. And it reaffirmed for me, I came back to work and I was like, we have work to do. There are people who still don't know what's happening, and we're going to get them one at a time. But I would venture that there aren't too many people left in Fullerton. I bet she was just visiting. But there aren't too many people left in Fullerton who would have that opinion, because you keep showing them this is different, but it's a great thing.
It is a great thing, and you know what? It's my platform. It's my platform being a co-owner of a restaurant, and having friends, because Fullerton has a bunch of restaurants, and a lot of the other restaurants are friends of mine as well. So, we have this platform, and we're able to interact with a lot of people, a lot of city people. So it's great to have friends and have the support of many school board members and many city council members as well. And having them on your side and getting having them come to these events as well, and then them putting it on their Facebook about our events. It just helps the whole culture within the city work in our favor for autism, and just trying to get that message out. So it's great. It's a wonderful
What you
thing.
do is amazing. Where can people go to find out more about Fullerton Cares? What's the website?
It's www.fullertoncares.com.
Okay. And is there a thing that they can click on that's just for the Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
But
they
the
can
Mardi
see a video from last year as well. so you
Okay,
can
cool.
see what-
But Mardi Gras is happening on the 16th of April this year. It's the
Right.
first time that it's happening in April. Usually it's closer to the actual Mardi Gras. But you made a decision, an executive decision, because of El Nino and the potential for monsoons, that you would do it in April. And so this is very exciting. April 16th. What time does it start?
So it's at 11
11 and goes till 4?
till 4 o'clock. Right?
11 to 4. Great opportunity. It's the kind of event that you go to and you bring everybody. You bring your neighbors, bring their kids, you bring grandma. Everybody gets to come. Everybody will have a good time.
There'll be lots of beads being passed out by.
Yes.
How many Girl Scout troops do we have in
We
Fullerton?
have 3 Girl Scout troops right now.
Okay.
That are going to be, they're greeting everyone.
And they make sure that you get beads.
Oh, they
are
are diligent.
on the job.
Absolutely. They take it
Okay.
seriously.
I adore you guys. I just think that you are remarkable, and what you do is remarkable. And we will be, Kelby and I will be at the Mardi Gras for Autism. We wouldn't miss it. And my son gets to come this time.
Yeah.
So I'm not in the doghouse anymore.
Can we just tell you something too? We
Yes.
love you too.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, because I adore the ground you guys walk on. Fullerton. And by the way, I should have said this too. If you're going to Disneyland, if you're going to be in the California area and you're going to be near Disneyland and you're wanting someplace to eat, go to Larry's Restaurant, Bourbon Street Bar and Grill. It's so close to Disneyland, it's ridiculous. Go there and have a meal. Meet Larry, meet his staff. It's the place that you should go.
Yeah.
So do that, and then come to Disneyland, come to Fullerton Cares Mardi Gras for Autism, and stay and eat at the Bourbon Street Bar and Grill. That's what we all need to do. Okay, we're totally out of time. Kelby's getting the hook. I want to tell you guys that, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I want to tell you guys at home, we've got shows next Wednesday and Thursday. We are going to show the video next Wednesday from the Autism Speaks Walk that we just went to. And we've got another video that we're going to be debuting soon, a really amazing drummer who's on the autism spectrum. Whew, it's going to blow your mind. But we will be back next week with Ask Dr. Doreen on Wednesday. You're not going to want to miss that. Until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me, and one for you too. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, I am at the open house at the CARD Los Angeles office on Saturday. Both Nick Yates and I are speaking, so come and see us. But until then, give your kiddos a hug from me. Really, bye-bye for now.